Healthy Women. And I am joined today by the amazing Arlene Anisman. Oh, Arlene, you are just such a gem in our collective. Arlene is a trailblazer in our Toronto West branch. She's been with us for a few years now. She is also a psychotherapist, and she is a essential oils consultant and educator with Young Living. And so Arlene, I'm so thrilled to have you here today. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself a little bit and maybe share a little bit more about yourself before we jump into talking about wellness and happiness and mental health, because that's a huge thing right now. But yeah, did you want to share a couple things about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Natalie, for having me here. I feel very honored, and for all your kind words. My focus always is to help people to feel good, to stay happy and healthy. Those words are used a lot, and I love Happy, Healthy Women for using them, but it's about living your passion and knowing that when the times get a little more challenging, there's little steps you can take to bring yourself back to that grounded, centered spot. And that's, to me, what it's all about, helping you to be able to stay happy and healthy on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. But for today, I mean, just knowing how to bring yourself back to a calm and centered place. Yeah. So I guess that's my focus. That's me. And empowering people to do that.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing that you combine, your psychotherapy with, the practice of and use of, wellness and oils and, just like natural practices to bring ourselves to that centered, grounded place. So I'm excited to talk about this with you today because it's no secret that, the world is in a crazy place and there's a lot going on for a lot of people. A lot of people that I talk to on the daily are saying how they're just mentally not feeling well and emotionally not feeling well. And it is hard, sometimes to keep our head above water right now. So I'd love to get your take on this and just sort of hear about, you're in the industry of mental health. So talk to us about, what's sort of happening right now.
Okay, that's a lot.
I know.
I think that I completely agree with you. We're living in crazy times now, and in terms of mental and emotional health and well-being, physical distancing doesn't help. I mean, it's wonderful to have the option of being online, but being with another person, being able to hug another person, that's very limited. We have our little bubbles of who we can do that with. And so that takes a toll. And what I find is I do like to combine ways I learned through my psychotherapy to help people on a day-to-day basis in combination with the essential oils from Young Living. And I do that because I think that for any of us, when you combine different tools, you often get an impact that is greater than the sum of the parts. It's that combination synergistic effect. And so, and because of my training, some of my training in psychotherapy is in a huge school of thought called energy psychology. And I wanted to just take a moment to say a little bit about that. The aspect of that I wanted to talk about, okay, thanks, is the meridians. So when I talk about the meridians, they are the lines of energy that the brain directs messages from the brain down to every system in the body. They're the same lines of energy that an acupuncturist uses. So they're connected to every system. And they have a flow of energy. Some flow up, some flow down. When they're balanced, they're flowing the way they're meant to be flowing. In this particular time with the pandemic, well, this can happen to us at any times of stress, or if there's an upset or a trauma, the meridians can start to flow backwards. Some of them or all of them, or they can start to flow in a scattered way. And that's what I was going to focus on today, because I think that that's what's happening to a lot of us, is that it becomes harder to focus in a clear, concise, grounded manner. Sometimes our thinking process is scattered. Sometimes the word I like to use sometimes is you sometimes might have a conversation with someone and go away feeling jangled, like your system is kind of shaken up. And when that happens, to me, that's a clear indication of something going out of balance in those lines of energy. So is that okay to keep going? Are you happy?
Yeah, absolutely. I love where you're going with this. And you know, like what you're talking about is, yeah, are those impulses that, like, we send off vibration, right? Like everything, our thoughts are energy. And just as much as, you know, I tell my hand to do this, I'm sending a message out to the world, to the universe, right? And so this is very
Right.
similar.
Yeah.
Yes, please do continue.
Okay, it is very similar. Thank you, I will. So the first thing I wanted to say about those meridians in terms of keeping balanced, if you're ever feeling upset or when you wake up in the morning and you're just hard to get out of bed, the first thing is the fuel that feeds those meridians and that allows the brain to send messages down each meridian is water. So water is always very crucial in our lives. I think most of us know that. And just as a guideline, I think about water and how much we need in the terms of our body weight. So you take your body weight, divide by 2, and that's a baseline for how many ounces of water you need to drink in a day. And then for every cup of caffeinated beverage you drink, you need to drink another cup of water. And if it's a hot day and you're sweating a lot, you need to drink more water. But half your body weight equals to the number in pounds, equals to the number of ounces, is where I think we need to start as a baseline. So if you wake up in the morning, the first thing to do is to drink a glass of water, and that will help your system to be more grounded. And if you're feeling upset in the middle of the day, first thing is to drink some water, even a few sips of water, just to bring yourself into that balanced state, you know. And of course, for me, one of the next things always is to smell an essential oil. And I was going to show everybody a relatively simple way to clear that scattered feeling out of their system. I was going to show you 2 ways, but I'm going to show you with an essential oil. And the essential oil I'm going to use is from Young Living. It's a blend called Joy. Where is my camera? Right. Okay. And it's a blend of all sorts of different essential oils. But what I'm going to show you is the simplest way to use an essential oil, and how it's all started with aromatherapy is just to inhale it. So you can inhale it from the bottle or take a drop or 2, rub your hands together, and just take a few deep breaths, because by breathing deeply, you send that essential oil up to the brain. It already starts the balancing process. Sometimes an essential oil alone will help you come back to that feeling of balance and groundedness. I always like, as you said, Natalie, to combine it, because I think then we amplify the benefits, and we also amplify the likelihood that this is going to stay with us, and that as we go through our day, you know, we're still going to feel that kind of balance and groundedness. So I may stand up and down to show you this, but I'm going to show you. There's 3 steps in this. We're going to do them with 2 hands, then we're going to switch the hands. But anyways, take one of your hands, and I'll start with my left hand on my belly button. So I'm just going to cover my belly button like this, right over, and you can do it like this, just one hand over your belly button. And with the other hand, keeping in mind I've just smelled this wonderful aroma, with the other hand under my collarbone, so my collarbone is here, there's 2 little indents on either side of the breastbone. If I put my thumb in one and my 4 fingers in the other and rub that spot, kind of gently massaging, it may feel a little tender. If it feels tender, it's the top of the kidney meridian, and sometimes it feels tender, then just rub it hard enough to feel it, but not hard enough to hurt yourself. And if it doesn't feel tender, rub it as hard as you like. And you just do that for a short period of time, as I'm doing. The next step is keep your hand on your belly button, and with this hand, put your middle finger under your bottom lip, your index finger under your nose, and rub those 2 spots. So massage those 2 spots. And if you like, notice how you're feeling as you do this. These, for anybody that hasn't been exposed to this is from a form of energy psychology known as brain gym or applied kinesiology. It may seem odd what we're doing, so notice how you're feeling, and that's what matters. And the last place, keep your hand on your navel, your belly button, and with this hand, massage or rub your tailbone. You can do it sitting down. I'm just like that, just rubbing. You can do it standing up. And then what I'm going to have us do is switch our hands. So I have my left hand on my belly button and my right hand on my tailbone. I'm going to take my right hand, put it on my belly button. And with my left hand, I'm going to do those 3 positions again. So under the collarbone, thumb on one side, 4 fingers on the other. And then we're going to go to the middle finger under the bottom lip, the index finger under the nose, and rub these spots. This is really good for giving you clear focus, for getting your brain sending messages in the way it's meant to, from the right side of the brain to the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain to the right side of the body. And again, with my hand still on my belly button, take this hand and rub my tailbone. Now, if anyone in the Happy Healthy Women community wants me to send them this in writing, I can always send it to you, Natalie, and you can forward it or whatever. And then after that, I like to suggest we always end with taking a deep breath and just breathing out very, very slowly. So did you notice any difference, Natalie, when you're doing that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just even my breath was so smooth. Like sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit anxious or I don't know what the word is, just not grounded enough, my breath is kind of like bumpy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this just totally just what a smooth in and out that was. So I do feel some clarity. Thank you so much, Arlene. That was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, it's an interesting experience because some people may not notice anything obviously right after, and that's okay because there's no wrong way to do it. And it's more about just going through the process and then seeing as you go throughout your day. Because for me, an indication that my energy might be scrambled, my brain might be disorganized in sending these messages, is that I get clumsy. And I might bump into something. And then I know, hey, I got to do one of these. I got to bring myself back into balance, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And so if I ever meet someone who says to me something like, I'm clumsy, you know, it's just something, part of my character. That's who I am. It sends a message to me that probably their system has been scrambled and sending messages in a disorganized way for so long that they've taken it on as a part of themselves. And we don't have to do that. You know, we can always be learning ways to be happy and grounded. And I think that's the piece about staying, you know, happy throughout this time we're going through, is that keeping our system balanced allows us to get in touch with that happiness and that joy that is all around us, and to acknowledge that for ourselves, you know. So so that's one tool, you know, and
I love that. Yeah, you know what you've just displayed is how there's a synergistic approach between the mind, body, and spirit and soul, right? And so that is completely, I totally agree. You know, and I love that you started that off with water, because I think that's, you know, the last thing people might think about when they're thinking about I need to get grounded, and then with the use of essential oils to assist. And then, of course, you know, this physical exercise, which is amazing as well. So, Arlene, how do you work with people? I mean, if anyone sort of is watching this, or they're thinking, you know, I'm struggling right now. Like I definitely need some assistance in getting grounded, getting back to myself, feeling good again. You know, this is all just too much for me. I know that you work with people in multiple ways. So do you want to quickly share, you know, how you work with people?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would always want to help someone to acknowledge what they're doing for themselves already, because what I find is that most people are doing something. I spoke to someone this morning who was running, you know, nothing else but running on a regular basis. And I think the whole thing about my focus with people is to, first of all, help them to acknowledge what they're already doing, and then add to it. And when I say add to it, I want people to add self-care tools and methods, whatever works for them, on an intentional basis. So it's not like many of us and many of the people that we know, I mean, we eat well, we sleep well, we exercise. Those are the basic things, and we may do them intentionally because we need to. But what I'm talking about is a little bit different. What I'm talking about is adding something regularly, like what I just showed you, maybe 3 or 4 energy psychology little exercises that would take maybe 5 minutes in the morning, and making an intentional commitment to yourself to do that every day so that you start the day feeling more centered and feeling calmer. And then it depends on what people want to focus on. My belief is that whatever somebody wants to focus on, they have to learn how to do self-care in the sense of self-soothing, how to come back to that calm place, because focusing on what's very upsetting can be done in layers. And so if you do one layer, something else may pop up that's even more upsetting. So you need tools to be able to bring yourself to that calm and centered place as you're carrying on. And my focus is more than talking. Talking is always a part of it because that's how we communicate. I really do believe, like you said, that there's energies around us. And I talked about energies in the meridians. There's energies in the field of energy, the biofield around our body that some people call the aura. There's the energy systems that are the energy centers that people call the chakras, that we are impacted by energies, and so I always want to focus on how to help the brain to respond rather than react, so that we don't get into a knee-jerk reaction based on our past, that we can go inside and be centered and respond in a thoughtful way. And I think that starts with having some kind of routine that we have initiated for self-care, for calming. And I always think that whenever you do that, it's got to be fun. So, or at a minimum, like the ones I teach, they take about 5 or 6 minutes a day. So I find them fun to do because I notice the difference as I do them, even doing it here with you. But I think that they've, ideally you find a way that's fun. So running might be fun, yoga might be fun, for different people, you find the ways. And I think combining more than one is always my goal, so that it's helping people develop a toolbox, so that in that moment, if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling sort of blah or upside down, that you know something to do. Here's another little thing that I sometimes would do in bed before I get out of bed. It's gently massaging the edges of your ears, sort of uncurling the curly part all the way down in this direction only, doing it 3 times. When you get to the bottom, you jump back to the top and do it again. Now, what this is doing is helping balance the meridian that handles stress. And one more time, jump to the top. Now, if you go in back and forth in, if I went back up here, it wouldn't hurt me, but it would undo the going in this direction. So with the energy work, it's always 3 times minimum. And so if I wake up and I feel like I went to bed late or a little, don't want to get out of bed yet, I would do that. And that helps me to feel more awake and grounded. And it also supports that whole system around stress. And so again, it's another way to feel calm and grounded. And always, of course, inhaling essential oils. So, I mean, I diffuse essential oils as well, so that it might be diffusing in my bedroom when I wake up. But I think having a tool, so that if you don't want to get out of bed, I like that one. There's other ones as well, but I like that, just that little experience with your ears. And so knowing that there's no wrong answers, did you notice anything when you did that, Natalie?
I loved it. It actually felt so good. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. That's the goal, because I find it feels really good for me as well,
Yeah.
And so when people come to see me, what I would be doing is teaching them these tools to begin with the goal that it's not going to take a long time. So each of those that I did today take a minute or 2 or 3, at the most, and once you learn them, they're easier to do without thinking about it. You just I know what it is. So it's, each one takes about a minute or 2, And
Beautiful.
so
Yeah.
that is where I always like to start, is to help people know how to stay balanced and how to stay grounded so that they can access that joyful part of themselves. And to
Yeah.
me, that if you're always balanced, that happiness is much more accessible. And if something comes your way, like we're all living in this pandemic, it's more accessible to find a way to still maintain that happiness because your system is balanced. When your system goes out of balance, everything becomes more challenging, and harder. So,
Yes.
so that's what I do when people come to see me to start with, and then depending on what they want. Because in my psychotherapy practice, I do see a lot of people that are focused on trauma, different kinds of trauma, and I do believe that always in my work I've thought that the world we live in has an impact on us. And so now it's all that much more obvious in terms of the pandemic and these crazy times all over the place. So I take
Lovely.
that into account so that when people are focused on maintaining their balance and their center, that they can know that part of it has to do with them and how they respond, but part of it also has to do with the world we live in. And it's important to understand and acknowledge that. So
Absolutely. Yes. And I adore the way that you tie so many different things in, that you combine the inner and outer, the holistic message of inner and outer and mental health. Arlene, I think it's so fantastic what you do. And so thank you. I put your website up here. So
thank you.
is it fair to say that if anyone would like to get in touch with you and maybe just chat with you, hear more about how they can work with you, or just get a little bit grounded, maybe pick your brain on those exercises, is it fair to say that they can reach you at this website?
Absolutely. Well, that website has my phone number and my email, and
Perfect.
so just perfect. Thank you for putting that up, Natalie. It's always
My
a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. You are wonderful as always. And thank you so much for all that you bring to this collective, Arlene. You really do make a difference in the lives of everybody, that crosses your path, and in the women that are part of Happy Healthy Women. So thank you so, so much. And for those of you who are, watching and thinking, hey, you know what, I'd like to share what I do with this community, please do jump in with us. You can find more information at hhwglobal.com. Thank you again, Arlene. Thank you all those who watched, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Get outside and take care of yourself today.
You're so welcome, and thank you. And I echo that. Get outside. We still have nice weather wherever we are.
Yes. Yes.
Take good
Love
care.
it. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.